Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. The reason I'm making this is just, I really do enjoy helping people. I'm passionate about talking about this kind of thing. I talk to people about this in person all the time, and multiple people have come up to me and asked me for advice on training and gaining muscle. So, it's going to turn into a little mini rant at the beginning, but because my biggest grief is that people are just not focusing on gaining weight. And so I'm going to talk about nutrition first and how important that is versus the program. And then later I will be talking about the program and my recommendations. And I will timestamp all the topics in the description so you can skip to what you want to hear. People are asking me what kind of program I would recommend and how they could change things up, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, dude, you're asking me this, and this is someone in person. I'm thinking, like, you haven't gained 5 pounds in 2 years, and you're telling me why you're not getting any results. So, well, that's why you're not getting any results, is you're not eating enough. I'm sorry. You're not gonna magically create matter inside your body, create muscle mass. So matter cannot be created or destroyed. That's a law of science, and you're not gonna do it inside your body. So, different mistakes that I have made, and I wish I could have gone back and changed, is number one is nutrition. For the first 2 years of training, I got some progress, and I started training when I was 16. I had no sports background until I was 16. And even that was just distance track, running half a mile and 1 mile, that's it. But I started weight training when I was 16. Nutrition is, I believe that somehow I could get more muscular, and I didn't understand what more muscular meant without eating anymore. So the way I would eat was kind of like intermittent fasting, but that wasn't a thing then. I would eat very little for breakfast, or skip breakfast, very little for lunch, maybe 2 chocolate chip cookies, or chocolate cookies with the fudge and stuff. Those are good. Maybe a bag of chips, and then for dinner I would have something like McDonald's, and I would fill myself up on that, but it still wasn't enough to gain weight. So, and in that period of time, 16, I think my bench press was probably 85 pounds, and by the time I was 18, it got up to 235 or 230, and it could have been so much more if I had been doing the other things I'm going to be talking about. But number one would be nutrition. If you just gain 10 pounds, let's say you could easily do that in a 2 to 3 month period, and I've done that multiple times, gaining 10 to 25 pounds in 2 to 4 months, is that your strength will just go up automatically. You don't even have to do anything different. Your strength will just go up, especially on pressing movements. Okay, so guidelines on nutrition. Basically, I would do at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, depending on how fat you are. If you're fat, don't eat, you can cut that down. But right now, I'm eating 1.3 grams of protein per pound, so I'm getting about 220 to 250 grams at 250 pounds, or at 200 pounds of body weight. And I've seen a big increase over the last year and a half from doing that. Last year I cut 15 pounds and I continued to gain strength, and I gained muscle during that period, and it's never happened to me before. And prior to that, I was about getting probably 150 to 165 grams of protein a day at 185 pounds, 190 pounds of body weight. So going from 160 to 240, we saw a huge increase in muscle and strength. Well, huge compared to stagnation. As far as carbs and fats, I think you can kind of do whatever you want. The protein is more important, especially if you're a beginner. But you have to have the carbs and fats and the proteins. You have to be in a calorie surplus. You have to be trying to gain at least half a pound a week. Half a pound is so difficult to measure, though. I would just say try to gain 1 pound a week. And consistency of training. I would train hard probably for 3 months at a time when I was 16, and I would take a break. I took weight training and I would go hard during that, maybe take a break, or I took a summer off. When I was after sophomore year, I took a summer off and then went hard again, maybe took another 3 months off. Same thing in college. I go through periods where I wouldn't work out sometimes, so I would have faster progress if I had maintained some kind of consistency. On the other hand, there were periods of time where I could only work out 15 minutes twice a week, and then one time for about an hour on the weekend. So I got it done, and those 2 times a week at 15 minutes each were really helpful. I mean, it's not that hard to maintain muscle mass that you have. It's a lot harder to gain. I didn't start training legs for 4 years after I started training, and I gained a large amount of muscle mass on my legs, which increased my body weight, obviously, but I also gained quite a bit of muscle mass on my back, my chest, everywhere, because I started training legs. Some people say if you have a stronger foundation like your legs, your body's going to support more muscle other places. It's likely that the more muscle you have, the more testosterone you're going to have and you're circulating through your body, the more growth hormone, etc. So for upper body, train it every other day, chest and back, or push and pull. And you could include biceps and triceps in there and shoulder isolation, but if you're a beginner, I would say that is a waste of time. The isolation movements the purpose of them is to bring up weak areas, weak and small in size or weak in strength. So if you're a beginner and you have a especially weak area, that could be beneficial, but if you're a beginner, all your muscles are small. There's no point in doing bicep curls if your back is puny and your biceps are puny. You need to be doing pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, etc., muscle-ups to get everything to grow. You don't so like some people say, I'm working on we're doing weak point training. What do you mean? Your whole body is a weak point. How do you pick which one is the weakest? I mean, you need to put muscle mass on your body. You need to put 20 pounds of muscle on your frame, and then you start to get weak points. And then other things might lag, like your traps might lag, your forearms might lag, your back might lag versus your biceps. Some people are arm dominant, some people are torso dominant, etc. So all these people, okay. They're trained. I was going to say a fallacy of training for a lot of beginners is doing isolation movements first, or doing isolation movements in sacrifice of doing more compound movements. You always want to do more compound movements if you're a beginner, because your whole body is a weak point. You want to try to maximize your time or maximize your bang for your buck by doing the compound movements or doing everything. Train upper body every other day. No more bro splits, no more chest day, back day, arm day, shoulder day, just upper body day. Push and pull, everything. Do it all in one day. Every time you train, you get another stimulus to produce more proteins in your body, to produce more muscle. So training more frequently is better. Also, when you train more frequently, you're giving your nervous system more experiences to adapt. A large part of strength is neural adaptations, improving coordination, improving the timing of the muscles, the firing of the muscles in order to lift heavier weights. And heavier weights over time increases your training volume, and training volume improves hypertrophy. So upper body day, lower body day, upper body day, lower body day, or train the upper body 3 or 4 times a week and train the lower body once a week if you don't care about it. Lower body you can get away with once a week. So this advice is for complete beginners, but train for the upper body day. One day do a horizontal pushing and pulling, and the next day, after a day of rest, do a vertical pushing and pulling day. Do 3 to 5 sets for each, and every time you train, you're going to try to break a personal record with the number of reps, the exercise progression, or the total number of reps or the training volume, etc. Every time you train, when you're a beginner, you're gonna try to break a record, and you should be able to do that for quite some time. If that's not working, change the exercise and try to keep progressing. And if that's not working, you're gonna need to add another exercise to the first one you're doing. So you're gonna need to do 2 exercises of 2 to 5 sets each. And then you keep progressing, and you're trying to break a record every single time with those new exercises. And then when that stops working, you might only be able to progress once a week, and you might have to add more exercises and even more volume. But for the longest time, train just every other day, try to break a record, 2 to 5 sets of that one exercise, and just milk that for as long as you can. I was going to say start with 2 exercises, but I'm just recommending 1 per day, and then because I just don't want you to get sore. If you're finding that you're too sore to give it your full effort, after 2 days, then you've done too much and you're not going to be fully milking your gains. That the program is too hard and you could probably get away with less. But as long as you're still improving in the weight or the reps, etc., then you can know that your program is kicking butt and you're doing great. If you're progressing 3 times a week, that's exceptional. That's perfect. It's exactly what you need to do. As far as intensity, I find that most beginners, the intensity is not the problem. They're trying really hard. They're just trying with stupid exercises. They're doing chest flies before they do bench press, and then their bench press sucks and their form is sloppy because they're tired. So most beginners are doing good intensity. They're just doing too much in one day, and they're not spreading it out, spreading the energy out enough during the week. I'm going to write more in the description box of the video, so you can please check that out. As far as nutrition goes, again, I would recommend just make sure you're gaining weight, and easiest way to do that is eat more fats, more nuts, more guacamole, more sour cream, more ice cream, whole fat milk, full fat everything. And it's just the easiest way to gain weight. Grab a tub of nuts from the grocery store that has like 5,000 calories in it, and work on that and eat one of those every week, and you will gain weight. Another thing that's more important than your hypertrophy program is getting enough sleep. I was stuck at a plateau where my bench press had been about 290 pounds, and then it had plateaued and regressed to say 265 bench press at any given day. But I took a break from weights and I went to ring training, like shoulder press or handstand push-up training and planche lean push-ups and stuff, and dips, and my bench press went up to 315 after I had retested it. After a couple weeks, I went to 300 and then 315 after 3 months of doing that. And the main factor was that I was getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep instead of 5 to 6 hours of sleep, because my college schedule had changed and it was a lot more freed up and allowed me to get more sleep. So sleep, nutrition, extremely beneficial than just finessing your training program a little bit. Eating and sleeping is far more important than the perfect program. So you need to have the intensity in the gym, but if you're not eating, it's worthless. And then if you're not resting and recovering, it's worthless. So they're all very important. Don't try hard in one area and neglect the other two, because it doesn't make sense to try hard in the first area then. Try a medium amount in all 3 will be better than doing one area super. Alright. Thanks guys.